And to everybody.
Welcome, welcome.
Welcome, welcome. Hello, hello, hello. Yes.
See something.
Come on in. Come on in. Say hello. Let us know how you're doing. How caught up or not caught up are you on the videos?
Yeah, were you able to ride the little exercise we gave you?
Yeah, were you able to ride it? What did you think of it? Or did you do it on the ground too? That's a possibility too. Or did you just write it in your mind? That's okay too. And did you watch all of the other videos? There's been a number of mindset videos. There's a couple more coming. So let us know. Hello, Deanna. I see you here. And hi, Anne-Marie. Aw. It's a little quiet. Yeah, come say hello. I don't want to get started on the training just at the first minute because people then get upset. I missed it. So, hi, Ricky.
Yeah, it says she's still not riding her ferritin level is still too low to ride.
Oh, I'm sorry. I hope you feel better soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Nicole Underwood said, hello, tried the exercise this morning. Enjoying the workshop. Yeah, Ingela Shaw says hi from sunny Gothenburg. Elizabeth Thompson says, hello, everyone from Elizabeth Thompson, Ontario, Canada. Hello. Toby Capal says, hello from Wisconsin. It's early for you, huh? Deanna says, I'm loving learning. I love to learn too. I'm just such an insatiable learner. I just love that. I love that you love learning. Agneta says, hi from Stockholm, Sweden. Hello. Hello, hello. Yeah, so a little check-in, everybody, real quick. Let's keep it personable here. And then once we get started, make sure that you put your questions in the Q&A because we will prioritize those over any that show up in the chat.
See, Maria Bloman says, great workshop and fun exercise. And Anne-Marie says, Flo, the exercise today had a number of realizations.
Ooh.
That's good. It's good if it leads to new observations or realizations. That's great.
And Marcia Alexander, hi from Switzerland. Hello. Welcome. It's good to see you all here. Yeah, we're about to get going.
Terry.
Hi, Terry. Yay. Yeah. And Inez Barroso says, hi from Devon, UK. Only writing in my head as I'm recovering from a broken right wrist. Yeah. But you know what? You can actually amazingly get a lot done by writing in your head.
It's true.
Believe it or not.
I know it helps.
It really does. Really, really does. Janet Henderson says, hi from England. Loving the workshop, tried the exercise this morning. Eye-opening and prompted thoughts, what we need to work on. Awesome.
Oh, good. Awesome.
This is good. Anya Street says, sorry. I should know better. Says, hello, Shannon and Thomas. You both look so healthy. Hi.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm loving it here in Portugal. Anka Schwartz says, it was way too hot. I will get it on tape tomorrow morning. Sorry. Yeah, if it's hot. Yeah. You have a couple days. Marianne says, tried the exercise only in walk as it was hot here in the Netherlands. We rode our first half pass for the first time in our lives. 3 steps each time, but the start has been made.
That's awesome.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Yes. 3
really cool.
Good strides is realistic as a beginning. When you first teach it to the horse, they usually can't hold it together for more than 3 strides. And then you have to kind of exit, prepare again, start again, and then you gradually get more and more strides. But three good steps, 3 good strides is good. For the beginning, it's a good result.
Really?
Yeah.
Isabel Jardin says, good evening, everybody from Germany. So Isabella Yarden?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Sounds like a
It
French
sounds like
name,
a
right?
French name.
Yeah.
I'm trying. Laura Gavronsky says mind-blowing and light, very enlightening.
That's awesome.
That is awesome.
I like that.
So some of your comments are set just to host and panelists, so everybody else can't see them. So if you want everybody else to see them or you want to participate in chat with each other, make sure you set it to everyone rather than host and panelists, just to remind you all. And Stephanie Thompson says, hello from Missouri. Hello. And Bev Slack says, good evening, everyone. Hi. Yeah. Evening for you and for us and for a bunch of others. It's morning or middle of the day.
In the US, it's middle of the day.
Yeah. And our South Africans, it's actually getting pretty late there.
I think it's 2 hours ahead of us.
I think so.
It's gotta be about 9 p.m. in South Africa.
Yeah. Okay, let's get started.
All right.
So we'll start with sharing the slide deck and then we're gonna review some videos. So oh, you know what? There we go again. This is what always happens. So it opens a different window. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Okay. I'm afraid to make it full screen, but here we go. Training 3, here we are. We're talking about articulating the half pass. We're going to go into feedback, nuance, and keeping the forward flow, how to keep going. So again, just a quick review. This is what the workshop looks like. We're on training 3 right now. Next training, live training, will be on Monday. That is a scholarship announcement. We are selecting one very lucky person to be a participant at no cost into our upcoming brand new Training the Half Pass course. Plus, on that day, even if you don't want the scholarship, you'll want to attend because we're also going to do a live mindset session. We're going to talk about confidence, progression, and when your brain says that you can't. Yeah, and so here we go. Articulate. So today, this is kind of just a preview of what we're going to be talking about today. So we're going to review some videos and give some feedback and tips. These were videos that were posted into the Facebook group. If you didn't get yours in time, don't worry, go ahead, keep posting your videos because we will still be hopping in and giving feedback straight into the group. And we'll also be addressing the common challenges, both the horse challenges and rider challenges that come up in the process of learning and training the half pass. And then we're going to talk a little bit about our upcoming course too, training the half pass close. We'll get there one thing at a time. So first, we're going to review what we've covered so far. We're going to talk about what is the half pass, why do we train the half pass, and how is it trained? And again, a little workshop tip, make sure you take notes. You can refer back to these notes later. If you want, you can post a picture of your notes or screenshot if you type your notes into the Facebook group. Everybody always enjoys seeing each other's notes, and people doodle and draw things. People, you know, take some cool little quotes or things like that. We enjoy seeing it. So yeah. So let's go. What is the half pass, Thomas?
Well, the picture actually shows a Grand Prix half pass, right?
No,
that's a super steep one.
Yeah.
So normally the standard half pass would be from A to B or C to E or C to B or KXM, right? FXH. That's sort of the competition half pass and around medium level, third level in the US. But at Grand Prix, you go really from the beginning of the long side to the middle of the opposite long side in a 60-meter arena. This is a 40-meter diagram.
Yeah, this is just so an example. So you see the bend and the trajectory.
But yeah, the horse is on a diagonal. You can always think of it as my outside front leg is on the line and I'm moving the haunches away to the inside. The horse is bending in the direction of travel. The outside hind leg is crossing. And if it's steep enough, the outside front leg is crossing too, right? If it's a very shallow angle, then you don't see much crossing, if any, in the front legs, just a little bit in the hind legs. But if the horse's body is almost parallel to the long side, like they want to see it in the competitions, and the line is steep enough, then the outside front leg will cross as well. And you could have probably all seen pictures of half passes in the trot where the horses really reach around with the outside front, around the inside front and stuff. So yeah, so that's sort of the very short list of typical features of the half pass, and yeah, it's beautiful to watch. It's not a trick, but
it's fun. It's
yeah,
fun to ride when your horse can do a half pass. They're really fun.
When it flows well, it's a great feeling. Yeah. But it's a good gymnastic movement. It's shows you how strong, how supple, how flexible the inside hind leg is. It strengthens the inside hind leg. It also supples the inside hind. It's always that diagnostic aspect and therapeutic aspect, right? And yeah, it
makes in the why too.
Yeah, exactly. It's a useful exercise. It's a movement that will also come in really handy when you have to do cow work or other practical applications of dressage, because it allows you to maneuver around obstacles or cows, and yeah, exactly, and position yourself so that either your front or your back is to that obstacle and stuff. So all these lateral movements on curved lines or the half pass on a diagonal help you. The horse becomes very agile and very maneuverable.
It is a natural movement. You will probably see a horse on their own. You turn them loose in the arena and they'll do a half pass across the diagonal. You probably won't see that. If you do, let me know. Definitely record it. But it is a natural movement. It is something that horses do in play. They're cantering and they'll kind of canter at something, or trotting and they'll kind of come at something. Canter is more common than trot, but it is a natural movement. It is not artificial.
Actually, what we should probably also point out that all these lateral movements are forward and sideways movements. They have a forward aspect and a sideways aspect. Here in the half pass, the inside hind leg is the one that steps forward and the outside hind leg is the one that steps sideways. And forward and sideways have to be in balance with each other. If the forward movement dominates too much, then there will be no crossing, right? Then the horse, and you see it sometimes that horses or riders try to ride a half pass, and then the horse crosses less and less and less and less, and from a certain point on, the horse just goes straight on the diagonal, right? Then it's all forward, no sideways. And sometimes you see haunches leading, then you have too much sideways, not enough forward, right? So that's one of the challenges, that you find the right blend of forward and sideways. Your inside leg is responsible for sending the horse forward. Your weight and your outside leg are responsible for taking the horse sideways. So if you know there is too much sideways, not enough forward, then I need to drive with my inside leg. And if the horse just goes forward and not sideways, maybe you need to rotate yourself more, maybe you have to shift the weight more, maybe you need more outside leg. And maybe outside rein can actually support the outside leg in moving the croup around. So it helps you diagnose when you think of it in terms of how much forward and sideways do I have? Are they equally matched, or do I have more of one and not enough of the other? Yeah, so.
And why do we train the half pass?
Yeah, like we said, it builds strength, elasticity, coordination, suppleness of the hips and the spine, especially. It shows you, like every movement you ride, it shows you what's easy, what's difficult, where the deficits are, where the horse is lacking in flexibility or in strength. And Yeah, so when it's trained correctly, it reveals it's a harmonious movement. It flows. It looks effortless, and the horse and rider just sort of glide like they're on an air cushion or
Like
something.
the video of Klaus Krisch, it just looks like the easiest thing in the world to do.
And yeah, of course, if it's not trained correctly, then there'll be tension and resistance, and maybe the horse is on the forehand and over flexing or inverting, and uh, in the trot and canter, then there's no more suspension, and the horse sort of scurries sideways. There's no more flow. When the horse is stiff and unbalanced. So.
Yeah. And how was it trained? Not all at once. Obviously, we've been talking about that, how it's systematically trained step by step. It's definitely not installed like a trick.
Download half-past 1.0.
Everybody wishes, but no, it's not the way it goes. It's trained through a logical progression of gymnastic exercises that build the horse's body and their mind so that the mind understands, and their coordination, body awareness, all of these things. So all of these things are built before you even ever ask for the half pass.
Yeah. I always think of it as building a staircase of very small learning steps. So it's effortless to go from one step to the next. If the step up from one step to the next is too high, then it becomes frustrating for the horse and for the rider, and it's not manageable anymore. And you really have to develop the lateral suppleness of the hind legs, you have to develop the vertical suppleness of the hind legs, and you have to develop the suppleness of the spine to do the half pass. And of course, you don't necessarily develop the suppleness through riding a million half passes, but you do it through voltas and figure eight and serpentines and short-ins and leg yields and enlarging and up and down transitions between the gaits and lengthening and shortening the stride and so on. And so that develops the horse's suppleness and strength to the point where eventually the horse is able to do a half pass. And then when you begin with a half pass, you don't have to begin with the competition half pass, but you can do a very, very shallow line. Like here from K, instead of going from K to B, you could go from K to X or from K to C or from K to the end of the first quarter line, right? So this is a 40-meter arena, so you could go 10 meters sideways and 40 meters in length, or 5 meters sideways and 40 meters in length. So it becomes super shallow, which means you can ride this easily in a working trot or working canter. You can really ride forward. And the sideways aspect is just an afterthought. Oh, by the way, I want to go a little bit sideways. And that makes it so much easier for the horse. If the angle is a little shallow, if the diagonal line is shallow, that lowers the threshold for the horse so much that even not very advanced horses will be able to do it. Whereas if you try the KXM half pass or FXH, you'll fail. With a horse that's not super well prepared. And initially, like we had already mentioned, if you get 3 strides or 4 strides that feel good, that's great, and you don't need to do more than that. You can easily.
And you can build on it
Excellent. Yeah.
later, but at first be happy with just a
Yeah.
couple strides. This is a great
Yeah.
start.
Exactly. Then you could either ride a volte, so that's a relief. The volte is easier than the half pass. You can use the volte to rebuild the bend, and then maybe exit, then enter the half pass again, 3 more strides to another volte. Or another thing you can do is like here, go from K, start a half pass, and then you could turn right 90 degrees, and like when you reach the circle point line, turn right and go to the opposite long side, and on that line that runs parallel to the short side, you could ride the haunches in, or you could ride a shoulder in, or just go straight and then maybe track right again. Take the rest of the long side and the short side to prepare, and then maybe start that half pass over from K. That's a great training exercise.
I'm sorry. Okay, yeah. I'm so sorry.
So anyway, yeah, so small steps, you can adjust, you can change the line, you can just do a few steps, make it easy for the horse, make it inviting. Somebody had said that they have a horse that likes to set back in lateral movement. So there you could do a half pass just to the quarter line and then go straight and lengthen, a medium trot or medium canter on the quarter line to restart the engine, create power again, and then maybe do it again. Those are great exercises, like a few steps half pass and then medium trot or medium canter parallel to the long side. What you should never do actually is finish or end the half pass and continue on the diagonal on a single track, because horses have a tendency to do that anyway. As they reach the end of the half pass, they often fizzle out and they try to
trail the haunches.
Yeah, trail so that the whole body is on the diagonal, and the haunches are no longer off to the inside. And if you allow that, they will start earlier and earlier, right? That's why if you need to end the half pass, either ride parallel to the long side, just exit and ride straight parallel to the long side, or ride a volte or turn 90 degrees parallel to the short side. Now here in a half pass ride, you turn right and then go to the opposite long side. Never allow the horse to just do a diagonal on a single track, right?
Yeah, our teacher, Carl Makolka, used to teach to at the very last couple strides of the half pass, as you're like ending at the wall, to actually advance the hindquarters so that they reach the wall at the same moment that the shoulder reaches the wall, rather than the shoulder reaching the wall first.
Yeah, exactly. He always had you make the horse parallel to the long side and change the bend. So the last two strides were effectively a leg yield.
Yeah.
Which puts a lot of weight onto that old inside, new outside hind leg. And the horse is very straight. When you reach the long side, the horse is ready to do whatever comes next. You could lengthen the stride on the long side or whatever, or start the canter or something like that. So that's a great little technical trick, right? To sweep the haunches so that the horse is parallel to the long side, change the bend. So basically the half pass becomes a leg yield for two strides and then go straight. And the horse feels great when you do that. You feel like, okay, we're ready for anything now.
So if you're not there yet, that's in the realm of polishing the half pass. If you're not there yet, that's okay. These are the tips and things you have to look forward to in your training.
Yep.
So, we're going to talk just a little bit about the ways that horses and riders get stuck, and then review videos, or do you want to review videos?
We can just mention that real quick.
Okay, good.
So these are the typical, mistakes or problems. Like if you've ever ridden a half pass, that's probably happened to you. It's happened to me too, So you try to ride a half pass and then the horse isn't bending in the direction, or maybe he's bending in the other direction. Or you feel a resistance in the inside rein, right? Or he doesn't want to sidestep at all, right? And there's resistance against the outside leg. Oh, then some horses may sort of do the half pass, but it feels like you're riding into quicksand and it gets deeper and deeper with every step. And it's like, oh my God, it's not moving anymore. Right? Or, some horses then lose balance. They start bracing, they invert, head goes up, back goes down, everything is stiff. And of course, at that point, there's no bend and there's probably no real crossing anymore either. Opposite problem, haunches go sideways too fast. Like that happens in the hollow direction, right? The resistance against the outside leg typically happens when you try to ride the half pass in the stiffer direction. And the haunches lead in the hollow direction. Also, the horse then tends to leave the half pass and kind of swim sideways away from your line, so you arrive way too early on the long side. And then
haunches lead twice on here.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's I sent that to you. But the no sidestepping that's here, the second point, you can also translate into that into too much forward, not enough sideways. And when the haunches lead, you have too much sideways, not enough forward. Because sometimes I find it helpful if you think of it, what is too much, what is not enough. Forward, sideways, right? You have to have a forward and sideways mix. Because a lot of people focus so much on the sideways that they forget that there needs to be a forward element and there needs to be a bend, right? And then the horse becomes like a crab and runs sideways, that kind of thing.
Seen it.
Yeah.
And then the ways that riders get stuck, it's usually, of course, there are physical things too, and that's why, we teach and encourage riders to do Feldenkrais work to improve the body. But they also get stuck in their heads. So the first one, the most pervasive, is just not believing in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, you're not going to do it. You're not going to be able to do it. It's like Henry Ford said, whether you believe you can or you can't, you're right.
Exactly.
And it's true. Sometimes you just have to believe, even when there is no evidence that you will be able to, or that you can, just believe.
Yeah.
Just throw your belief over the fence. And jumping, you have to just kind of throw yourself over the fence.
Yeah, when I was younger, some of the movements instilled a certain, I don't know, fear or false reverence in a way. Oh, it's an upper level movement.
Oh, yes.
This is only for the talented riders, or this is only for the good ones, for the good riders. And
it's just a movement, guys.
Exactly, but it's anybody can do it basically.
Yeah.
And the half pass is very doable. It's very, you can work on it step by step. You get there, your horse will be able to do it. It's not a big mystery. It's not black magic. I mean, yeah, when I was young, Egon van Eindhoven told me one time, medium level dressage is really just craftsmanship. Anybody can do it. He has this casual way about him sometimes. It's like, yeah, anybody can do it. And then he's like, yeah, the FEI levels, you need to have a little bit of skill, a little bit of coordination. And at that time, I was a lower level rider, and I felt that really comforting, And he said, well, anybody can learn it, it's just craftsmanship. And I totally agree. Now in hindsight, 40 years later, I totally agree. Anybody can do it. It's not a big deal. You just don't try to do an 8 half pass, that you would get an 8 for in a show. Don't think you can do this the first time you try it, right? But build it,
Yeah.
Build something or start with something that doesn't look really like a half pass necessarily, or that doesn't look like a competitive half pass, but just step by step, right? It's like a mosaic. Start with one piece and then add another piece and add another piece. And eventually you'll see what the picture is going to be of your mosaic, right? Or your jigsaw puzzle. And it's a little like this with movements like half passes and piaffe too. It's similar with a piaffe. It's like one little piece and the uninitiated eye will not see what it's going to be, But then once you have enough little jigsaw pieces, then people will see, oh, I see where this is going.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it just takes a little while. It's not a weekend deal,
Yeah, and trying too hard, meaning pushing through when you actually need to look for flow and look for what's causing the problem rather than just pushing through the resistance in both you and your horse. And chasing a shape instead of focusing on creating a feel, trying to get the head down and trying to get the horse moving sideways and trying to create what looks like a half pass instead of trying to create what you think a half pass should feel. Feel is super important.
Crank the head and keep the haunches. That's not going to get you a half pass, right? Yeah. I mean, the horse may look where he's going and he may go sideways, but it won't be beautiful. It won't feel good.
It won't give you
it won't be healthy
that you want to ride.
No, it won't be healthy for the horse. But that's how people ride sometimes, right? Yes. The horse needs to bend, and the horse needs to go sideways, so they dig in the spur, But that's destructive. That's not gonna make the horse any better. it'll make him lame probably and unhappy, and so.
And you too, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah, forcing it instead of preparing. So when things don't go well, go back a couple steps, prepare again, go back and prepare again.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah, that was really liberating when I realized that I don't need to see it through to the bitter end. And if it kills us, right? It's like I'm gonna do it or I'm gonna die trying, you know. No, it just doesn't, it's not feeling good. I don't feel like I can fix it in the moment. Exactly, just exit.
Yeah.
Restore what you lost. Start over, And so that is so, I find that so, I don't know, it's such a relief that you can do that, then you don't need to get pressured or tense or scared or whatever, and the horse doesn't need to get scared and tense either, but it's like, okay, we'll prepare the best we can, we try it, and then once it starts falling apart, let's just exit and let's rebuild what got lost, and then re-enter at some point, continue the half pass or start it over from the beginning. And if you something goes wrong in the initiation of the half pass, it doesn't feel good, you can immediately abort, and then just
I changed my
start
mind.
again. Yeah.
Let's do something else.
Yeah, a long time ago we rode in a clinic with Otto Kottas, and he did that when he didn't like the first step of the half pass. He said, stop, turn, leave the half pass, come again, because it's already screwed up before it's even really started.
Yeah, there's no sense in trying to salvage it. It's better to go back.
Exactly. Yeah.
Prepare again, try again. Yeah.
There's a lot of freedom in that. That I think that's an important thing to keep in your mind. You can always exit it and start over.
A lot of this is about learning to be flexible in your thinking.
Yeah. Exactly.
So the next one on our list is just the fear of getting it wrong. You either play small, so you say, "Oh no, I'll never do the half pass. No, I'm just a little lower level rider. Don't mind me." There's that. Or just becoming rigid, maybe doing it or trying to do it, but becoming rigid to avoid making mistakes. But that rigidity becomes your biggest mistake. And in the end, you just have to try. You just have to be curious, experiment, be playful, try. Yeah. And as they say, growth lives on the other side of not knowing yet. Yeah. And then false expectations, expecting that you can just install it quickly. Like, okay, we're going to do half pass. Let's go to it. We're just going to go install this on the horse. It's not a button. It's the result of a bunch of other work that you can do with your horse. That you can do, you get to do. You get to do this. It's really important. You get to do this. You get to do this. You get to cultivate it. And comparing yourself to others, always comparing yourself to your buddy who has been doing half pass for years, and well, she's doing it better, and then you shrink away and you don't want to work on it or don't want to, ride it around other people, rather than just staying present with yourself and your horse and where you are in the riding and what your needs are, and staying in the moment. Don't worry about comparing it to anybody else's. Compare it to your own other half passes, sure, but don't worry about comparing to others. They're on their own journey. And misreading struggle as failure. You can jump in anytime, I'm just going. But thank you. Misreading struggle is failure. Struggle is normal. You're going to have to make friends with struggle if you want to achieve anything in life, but especially in writing, that definitely comes out. And struggle is okay, make friends with it. It is it is an ally even on your journey. It will show you greater things if you just look into the struggle.
Exactly. I mean, mistakes, resistance problems are data, basically. Information that you need to get better, to get to the next stage. So instead of thinking of, oh, this mistake happened, I'm useless, I will never learn this, I'm a failure. Think of it as, oh, this is an important missing piece to the puzzle, or this points to an area where that I hadn't thought about, or where I missed something, where I need to pay more attention, I need to work on this more. So it's valuable, it's a positive thing. Like a mistake or resistance from the horse is valuable because it points you to areas where you have to work and where there may be a deficit in understanding, a deficit in suppleness, a deficit in strength. And then once you've discovered that, then you can work on it, you can fix it, right? As long as you're not aware that there's a deficit, there's nothing you can do about it. Ignorance is bliss, but it also keeps you where you are, right? Whereas when you discover issues, you make mistakes, can be frustrating, can be hard on the ego, but it gives you information that you need in order to level up, so.
Yeah.
So if you reframe it in a positive way, then it's not so hard on the ego, in other words. So.
Yeah.
Easier to keep going then and not give up.
Yeah. So let's go look at the videos and then come back to this. I think.
Okay.
All right, so. I just have to read this from Henry Ford. Kat says, Henry Ford, one of my Thomas favorites. It costs nothing to ask.
Yeah, exactly.
And to remember, scroll up. And to remember, asking is not forcing and pushing, it is asking.
Yeah, I think so.
Thank you, Kat.
Yeah, and then in German there's this little saying, Frechheit siegt. I don't know if there's anything in English. It's like Frechheit is like boldness wins, You just do it, just
I love that.
see what happens. Like what could go wrong? What's the worst that can happen? Let's just do it. And then, if the horse says there's absolutely no way, and if I'll kill you if you ask again, then it's like, okay, never mind, I wasn't serious anyway. All right, let's do something else.
I was just kidding.
Yeah. I mean, if you just ask and it's like, well, let's try it. Or how about that little horse?
Just like, oh, what happens if I do this? Oh, okay, cool answer. Okay, that's interesting. That's information.
Yeah, and if you try it, I mean, either it works or it doesn't work, right? Or somewhere in between. And it's unlikely that it'll be perfect, right? But maybe it's something you can work with that you say, okay, not quite what I had in mind, but
that's interesting.
Let's tweak it. Let's tweak it a little bit. Let's do a little bit more of this and a little bit less of that, and let's see if we get a little closer to what I had in mind. And so often, then you have this dialogue with the horse, and gradually you shape it until it becomes what you want it to be. And then sometimes the horse says, "No," and then, sorry, I asked. Let's do something else. It doesn't happen often, but maybe. It can,
Unless you're riding a chestnut mare, then that happens often.
But yeah,
I used to have a chestnut mare, so.
Yeah. But if you ask casually and the horse gets angry or upset or something, then you can always say, "Oh, never mind, let's leave that for another day." Rather than, the old mindset was sometimes, well, once you make the request, the horse has to, otherwise he learns that he doesn't have to, and then he becomes unrideable and so. But that's not my experience. Like my experience really is you can ask anything of the horse, and if he says no, then it's like, okay, maybe it's not the right time. Let's do something else.
How can we?
Yeah.
Where is the yes? A no is always an invitation for you to find out. Well, where is the yes? There is a yes somewhere to this. So how do you get there? Yeah. It's not by force making the horse do it. Where is it? Okay, let's watch a video. Okay, you're the master. I already have it on the video, the first one that you sent me.
Okay.
It's on that one, yeah. Yeah.
So Karen Morgan. So she's two videos had to work. Stay present enough to not tip into trying too hard. Yeah, when I allowed myself to trust the process, Hep started to more readily accept the pressure from my leg aid without breaking into a trot. I mean, even if the horse starts to trot, I would totally allow that. I would say, well, if you want to trot, if you think that's easier, go ahead. but I won't change the exercise. If you want to trot, do it right. You know, and then either the horse does it in the trot, which is great, or the horse says, never mind, walk is easier, I'll do it in the walk. And then, you know, the horse does what you initially intended, and so it's a win-win, right?
And you can just say, this is a good thing. Good idea to come back to the walk.
Horses sometimes will switch to the next higher gait if it gets tough.
And let's get this over with. Let's just hurry up and get this over with.
And yeah, in situations like that, I typically allow it because it's a win-win. Like I said, you know, either the horse can actually pull it off in the higher gait, or he comes back to the original gait. And so either way, I don't have to tell the horse that you made a mistake. I wanted something different. But whichever gait he does it, if he does that movement, it's great, you know. So, you know, we both benefit, we both learn. So snake neck. So see, that's pretty good with the haunches coming in. What's interesting too, actually, stupid Facebook, it's sometimes hard to then stop the video when once you're in full screen mode. It's a real an annoying glitch. Beginning. See how in the beginning the horse got a little bit deep and short in the neck, like here, right? And the croup comes up. But as you go into that haunches in, see how the neck gets longer and the head comes up? As you're engaging the outside hind, much better. See? And then you could, with the inside wing, you could very gently see if you can flex that pole a little to the inside. Just to mobilize that. So you think of just moving the skull a little bit. Of course, now the horse is bending right, which is okay. You could
like a counter shoulder, yeah, that's okay.
You can change the bend back and forth. It's not a bad thing, right? You can go from a haunches in to a counter shoulder in, or even to a leg yield. You know, you bend to the outside and push the haunches a little bit more, and then bend to the inside, bring the haunches a little closer to the wall. So you go back and forth between a leg yield and then the haunches in. It's an old Mikolka exercise actually too. It's a really good way to supple the spine and the hips and to develop a haunches in. But notice how engaging that outside hind leg lifted the head and neck and made the neck long. And the outside hind has a very important function. It serves as an anchor and stabilizer, especially on curved lines. I mean, even way back when, you know, Louis Seeger and others was 150 years ago or 200 years ago was saying that the quality of a turn depends on how well you can control the outside hind leg, like how well you can connect the outside hind to the ground and the weight. And moving the haunches a little to the inside, bringing the outside hind leg underneath you so you can sit on it often fixes a lot of problems. It's something I use a lot with my horse too, especially going right. His left hind leg is always a little harder to connect than the right hind leg. And so connecting that left hind leg, asking that to cross, even if it's just a tiny amount, you know, just 3 strides or so, and then sitting on it, that can change everything. You know, it can make him feel so much better and rounder and bigger. And it seems like with this horse, it may be similar with the right hind leg there. When you push the right hind leg a little bit more under the body, you know, he became big and tall in front. That was nice. That was really good to see. So let's look at that other video. So it takes a one moment here. Okay. Guess that's the other rein. And there typically is a difference, right, between the left rein and the right rein. The horse will move differently, feel differently. You may have to sit differently, aid differently. In the hollow direction, the croup usually comes off the wall much more easily. In the stiffer direction, it can be harder. And it could be that in the hollow direction, you can get a haunches in, and in the stiff direction, you can only get a counter shoulder in or a leg yield. And in that case, I would probably actually ride the leg yield in both directions or the counter shoulder in both directions, and then develop that suppleness in the stiffer hind leg until he's able to bend in the direction of travel in both directions. Right? I mean, if it's hard for him to bend right here, what you could do is start with the counter shoulder in. So flex a little to the outside, move the haunches out. Then keep the bend to the outside, rotate the horse. So the haunches are on the track, the shoulders are a little to the inside. So it's a slight renvers feel. Change the bend from renvers to shoulder in. And then keep that bend to the inside and rotate the horse. So the shoulders are next to the wall, haunches are in. And then change the bend again to counter shoulder in and start over. So you can do a series of all four lateral movements, counter shoulder in, renvers shoulder in, haunches in. And sometimes just this constant change, 3 strides in each movement, and then back, change the bend, rotate the horse, change the bend, rotate the horse. That keeps you and the horse moving, so there is no opportunity for you to clash and to kind of brace against each other. And this constant change has a suppling quality of its own. So the horse may, after a few repetitions, actually keep that bend to the inside as you go from shoulder into haunches in, and then you have your first beginning of an actual haunches in, and before it gets too hard for the horse, change the bend to counter shoulder in, and continue. So instead of trying to insist that no, you have to bend to the inside, you just work around it and move the hips and move the shoulders and move the spine, right? And then gradually the horse becomes so supple that looking where they're going is not an issue anymore. Oh yeah, Susan says, can you optimize it? Yeah, we forgot. We'll do the next video.
I'll prep the next one.
Mhm.
Oh.
See if I carried away a little, and optimize it for video. That's what makes it jerky when you don't optimize
Yes, sorry.
Thanks for letting me know. And when you share, there's this little thing you have to click. And wasn't thinking about that. So this one should be smoother. So this is Maria with a mare. So that's the trot. So that's a shoulder into half pass essentially. And Maria was experimenting with stirrup stepping into the inside front. That was a tip from somebody else. And it's true, if you're in a shoulder in and you step into the inside front. So here when the inside front is on the ground, step into the inside stirrup, use a little outside knee and rein. That will move the shoulder a little bit more away from the wall, and it can be the beginning of the half pass. And once once the shoulder has moved away, then you could move the haunches when here you can't see it really, but the outside front is on the ground, inside hind is on the ground. You could step into the inside stirrup again when the inside hind is on the ground. Maybe use your outside rein and your outside leg together. So basically, and you move your outside hip back, and that swings the haunches a little to the inside. So I usually begin half passes with some stirrup stepping sequence as well. And yeah, so inside front, inside rear is usually a good one. See here, the angle is pretty shallow. If it's the first half pass for the horse, that's okay. You could try and increase the angle. And like if you, for example, if you step into the outside front, like here the outside front's on the ground, step into the outside stirrup, that should allow the outside hind leg to move more freely and to move across more. So that can really help, right? And I sometimes do a triangular stepping sequence, outside front first, then inside front, then inside hind. And when the when you step into the outside front or the inside hind, you're really encouraging the crossing, or you're enabling the crossing of the hind legs, outside hind leg. So, and then you can sometimes get a bit steeper angle. And you may have to experiment with rotating your own pelvis more, like outside hip leg more back, and see if the horse will follow that movement, if she will mirror that movement. If she doesn't, then send the inside hind leg forward with your inside leg. And actually, I sometimes step into the outside hind leg, or even put my weight a little on the outside hind in a half pass, which is wrong according to the book, but it enables the inside hind leg to reach forward, lift up earlier and reach forward farther. So I do this for a couple of strides, 1 or 2 strides, and then I sit correctly again on the inside hind leg, and then maybe step into the inside hind. So it's like take the weight off of the inside hind so it can take a bigger step under the body, and then once it has arrived, sit on it, and then you can ask the outside hind to cross. Because the outside hind can only cross if the inside hind engages enough. If the inside hind isn't underneath you, then there'll be no half pass, you know. And most problems in the half pass really start with the inside hind leg not stepping under, but either trailing behind or going off to the side. It's good to ride a volte before, or figure 8 before the half pass. That helps you create the bend. In the volte, you can also grab the inside hind leg, bring it underneath you, and then take the bend with you into the haunches in, or half pass, or shoulder in, wherever you're gonna ride. And so volte to shoulder into half pass is a good combination. So this looks a little easier. Can't remember now if this is the hollow side, but in the hollow direction, the haunches like to move sideways more easily than in the stiffer direction. That's pretty good. Yeah, and I think the half pass is new to this horse. I don't think she's done it before. So if that's the first attempt, that's pretty good.
Not much.
Yeah, exactly. So that was good. Good for the early attempts. And then from there you can tweak it, right? Like I said, you can shape the movement a little bit. Next one, Hewlett. Oh yeah, never been tried before. So
Never tried before.
Yeah, good. That's pretty good.
It's a great starting point.
Yeah, it's a good. It's definitely, this is one of those things where you can ask the horse, oh, well, how about, can you do it? And then she does that, and you can say, oh yeah, I can work with this. Now we can shape it a little bit. I can do a little here and a little there, and you add a little this and a little that, and then it evolves into the finished product over time, So it's, I mean, she definitely looks like she's ready to do it, and
for sure,
if you tinker with it a little bit, play with it a little bit, it's a little bit like playing with molding clay, or this is, what do you call that? Knete. So then it's eventually it becomes the finished product. That's for me, that's always the fun part, to start with a raw material and then shape it and tweak it and play with it until it feels like the feeling I have in my mind that this is how I want it to feel, and then you approximate that with the horse. So
next one.
Yeah, that's on the diagonals. Yeah, it's if you take our exercise to the diagonal, like practice it on the long side, right? Step, step, haunches in, and then straight, and then step, step, haunches in and straight. And then you just take that exact same exercise, move it onto the diagonal.
Pretend that the diagonal line is the wall.
Exactly. You can mark it, like with poles or so. The outside front is next to the line, and then you're moving the haunches away. And yeah, initially, I don't really care where the horse is looking. Once the horse gets the idea that, we move the haunches away. Look, the volte was a good idea, right? Do a few steps and then turn into the volte. recreate the bend, improve the bend, and plus it's a nice vault. The horse is bending nicely, it looks nice and round. And then again, you start step, haunches in. And with the markers, you see very clearly the relationship of forward and sideways. Like if the horse were to step over the poles, then somehow there would have been too much of a forward movement too, right? Not enough sideways, and the hind legs would have been pushing too much and not carrying enough. You want to keep that outside front leg as close to the line as possible. So just a few inches away from it. And then here, you can monitor the angle, and oops. Here it's already borderline, right? Here I would definitely, because you have a lot of angle, you don't have a lot of bend. So I would use my inside leg now and limit how much the haunches can come in, but I would try and get the rib cage to become more concave on the inside, so the horse bends more. And bend is not the neck, it's the rib cage that has to move towards the outside. It has to expand on the outside, contract a little on the inside, and the belly has to kind of swing over to the outside.
You can kind of, with the two legs, act like a ping pong a little bit. Your inside leg brings the inside hind under and creates more bend. The outside leg asks the hind to move over, move inside a little bit. And so you kind of bring the horse between the two, and in this way you can really shape the movement.
Yeah, the inside leg is responsible for forward, the outside leg is responsible for sideways. And of course, inside forward and bend. And the pelvis, of course, also tells the horse go, haunches in, and the pelvic position and weight distribution. They are the central aids. They give the horse the big picture, and then the leg and rein aids can regulate some of the fine print, and if you don't rotate your pelvis and you just use your legs, the horse has no idea what you're talking about. The horse will not know that you want to do a half pass. So you have to indicate that from the center of your body, rotate, shift the weight, and go from the center to the periphery, right? Let the rotation of your pelvis travel down your legs, because that will automatically bring your legs in the right position, and it will almost automatically result in the right kind of leg aids and rein aids and so on. And you can see here on the right, it's easier for her, right? Like we had seen from the long side, half pass off the long side. And here on the diagonal too, it's easier for the horse to move the haunches to the right. Just be careful that the vault doesn't get too small. Right, 12 strides of the inside hind minimum, otherwise the horse can't bend on the vault. And when you interrupt the vault, the half pass with the vault, the function of the vault is to align outside front and inside hind again a little bit more in case the haunches have come in too much. And you want to restore or improve the bend with the vault. And if the vault gets too small, then it can't do that. Right? The horse can only bend if the vault has a minimum of 12 strides in circumference of the inside hind leg. Otherwise, the horse will get crooked in the vault, or you'd have to ride a lateral. I see. A little wobble here and there, which is normal in the beginning, right? But the horse sways a little to one side or the other. That looks pretty good. Yeah, the vault is a really good element because it's familiar, it's easy, it helps the horse to restore balance and the bend and so on, the inside leg. Yeah, it's pretty good. I think you need to add a little bit more inside leg overall, so you get a better bend.
Yeah.
But I mean,
But for your first attempt,
yeah,
this is
great.
amazing.
It's really good. Nice. And you can see in the vault, she always comes round again. She always comes together. And then you take that longitudinal and lateral roundness of the volte into the half pass. Keep the bascule, keep the bend that you had in the volte, and just take that into the half pass. That was good. That was really nice.
Good job, Maria.
Yeah. So, she's hollow left, so it's hard to control the left hand sometimes. Okay. Interesting, but it's easier. She looks better on the right. It's interesting.
Sometimes that happens.
Yeah, my experience is that often the half pass in the stiffer direction may not feel as easy, but it's more correct. The bend is more correct.
No,
And
it looks better too.
in the hollow direction, it's usually easier to get the haunches to move sideways, but it's a little bit more difficult to then catch that inside hind leg and direct it under the body so the horse actually bends properly. Yeah, very nice.
One.
So as we're trying, I'm happy and feeling proud of myself that I've managed to record and share it with you. I still have a few things on the checklist, work in progress. Well, it's always a work in progress. It's never really done, man. So also looks like a shoulder into a half pass, right? And then back into shoulder maybe. So you could move the shoulder a little bit more to the inside in the shoulder in. You could move the haunches a little bit more over. But you know, as a starting point, it's not bad at all, right? One thing I would do, I would ask the horse to pick up the hind legs a little earlier, because the horse is borderline forgetting that he has hind legs, right? They stay on the ground a long time.
I mean, he's nice and relaxed.
I know it's relaxed. That's good. That's good. For a good half pass, you need a little bit more power, a little bit more inner fire. And when you look at the hind, see how you can, if somebody stood behind the horse, they would see the sole of the foot. And that's always a sign that they're not moving with enough impulsion, that they're dragging the feet a little bit. So the fetlock joint should move forward upward towards the girth more instead of swinging horizontally forward, right? It should move in a diagonal line up so that somebody standing behind the horse doesn't really see the soles, or it's just a split second, you know. But yeah, the less you see of the soles when you're behind the horse, the better it is, right? And if you ask him to pick the hind leg up a little earlier, so like if you, this is a little early, so here the hind leg is still slightly in front of the hip joint, but let's see here, by the time he lifts the hind leg up, the hind leg is way behind the hip joint. If you ask with your inside lower leg or the whip a little before that, like when that inside hind leg is here, just behind the line of the hip joint, then he has to engage his belly muscles more. He has to increase his energy output, and then you get a more energetic gait, a more powerful gait. And since the half pass is more effort for the horse than just going straight or going a shoulder in, he kind of has to increase his energy outputs. Like when you're driving your car on a level road and then a hill comes and you want to keep the same speed, you have to step on the gas a little more. Otherwise, the car will slow down and slow down and slow down until it stops. You know, and that happens in the half pass, that they seem to get slower or they seem to lose power a little bit. And then if you ask him to pick the hind leg up earlier a little bit, you can, with the whip vibrate a little bit, or with the leg a little quick, then you get more energy, more power, half pass is better. Good idea to lengthen, by the way. That's also how you can create a little bit more power, that you do either a few strides of shoulder in on the long side and then you lengthen the stride on the diagonal, or you half pass a few strides and then lengthen parallel to the long side. You could even combine it. You could do shoulder in 3 strides half pass 3 strides, and then lengthen parallel to the long side. So, and this kind of close, tight-knit kind of combination of exercises and elements builds energy in the horse. That it tends to rev the engine. It tends to make them really alert until they're brimming with energy. It's like this one thing builds on the previous one, and then they get like a diesel engine warming up more and more and more and getting more power, more power, more power. The horse feels bigger and more energetic, and so looks like he would benefit from something like that. Like the horses that are by nature a little bit laid back, and tend to conserve energy a little bit, you can get them to come out of their shell a little bit, out of their reserve, and fire up in a way, and use more energy, use more power. The lengthening the stride is good. It reminds the horse of the pushing power, the extensor muscles, that he uses them as well. That's carrying and pushing have to be balanced too. And some horses always push too much. With them, you always have to be a little bit, more on the collected side, and always remind the horse to sit more, to carry more, to flex the hind legs. Other horses don't push enough, and they tend to get behind the aids and the lateral movement. So with those horses need to be reminded that they need to push too. It's not either carrying or pushing, like it's not either sideways or forward, it's a combination, right? So with those horses, I do 3-4 strides of a lateral movement, and then I ride forward on the single track until they make the connection, and then you can do the lateral movements a little bit longer. But they need to keep the power up in the lateral movements, or if anything, they have to increase the power that they use, because more work, right? It's like you're driving up a steeper hill now, so you have to step on the gas more so that the whole car doesn't get slower. So that's one way of thinking about it.
Okay, thanks for ready.
I can't have so loud.
Yeah, we started back at the beginning.
Yeah, that was interesting, right? So I think she did a passade or pirouette in the canter. So that's why initially the haunches are leading slightly, coming out of that turn, and then she fixes it. And you can see how here the balance is a little bit downhill. The horse kind of falls a little on the forehand, and then she decides to make the angle of the half pass or the line shallower and to ride more forward, and the balance improves. Right now it's a more active canter. Here it's a
It looked like it was too much sideways for his ability, his strike, and so he was falling onto the forehand because he was having to scramble a little bit. But then here it gets better, better,
exactly.
better.
Yeah, that was the right thing to do. It was a good decision. I mean, stuff like that happens to everybody, right? That you realize, oops, that was a little too sideways. I lost a little power.
That's how you learn.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Shallower line, more forward, and then the change was nice. Yeah, change was nice and clean. Yeah, so, and you can see how you can shape the gait. You can shape the canter stride as you're riding,
And one thing I would say is try to find a way in your seat so that you're not pushing him over with your seat, instead taking him over. So you are sitting in the direction of the movement and taking him with your weight. Right now you can see that you're leveraging your body to push, which is something we all do. Every single one of us has made this mistake, has done this, and in the training of the horses sometimes it just happens. But then try to in the future think about guiding the horse, taking the horse over, so you're taking your weight and bringing the horse with you rather than pushing the horse over into the half pace. It's a different way of thinking about
yes, it's a great skill to be able to correct as it's happening. Yeah. she's done this before, I guess.
Yeah.
But it shows you that she's feeling, she's thinking, she notices, mistake is happening, and she, within a stride or two, she fixes it, right? And that's kind of the goal, right? That you're in the moment, you feel what's happening, you immediately take action to correct as the horse is going off course, as you're feeling, oh, we're going in a bit of a dead end here, so let's course correct, That takes time and practice. I mean, if you've done 1,000 half passes, then this becomes second nature, And those who've never done a half pass, of course, they won't be able to do that right away. But it's really a matter of experience and practice and just doing, a lot of half passes. Or I mean, it goes for everything, right? Any movement, shoulder in, turn on the horns, just pirouettes, walk, trot, transitions, whatever, right? So it's that feeling, observing, thinking in the moment, and then immediately adjusting when you feel like, this doesn't feel right.
When it's new, don't expect yourself to be able to do that when it's a new thing for you or your horse, but as you do it, just like the first time you rode a 20-meter circle, you were probably just, hoping. And after a while, it gets really to where you can, adjust, if the horse falls in or falls out, you need to adjust the tempo, the speed, the gait, whatever. You can adjust all these things. You can add in other things, other elements. You can add in transitions. You can add in lateral movements. You can add in voltas. You can add in all sorts of things. So it gets to where you can really work with it as an artist.
Yeah.
So yeah. Do you want to answer questions right now, Thomas, or do you want to move to there's 6?
We could. I mean,
okay, answer these questions, and then any more after that arrive, we'll answer them at the very end, because we have some more ground to cover.
Yeah, so Jane says, did groundwork in rain with her rug on. Well, that's brave to work in the rain.
Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do.
No. Ashley says, I ride a tall and long thoroughbred who tends to be better in the canter. That's typical thoroughbred, right? Exercise was wonderful for us in the trot. We even rode some shallow half passes. Awesome. When I moved to canter, it went really well on the left lead. We move off the left leg better and tend to be stiff to the right, fall out through the right shoulder. When I tried to do the stepping into the outside stirrup in the right canter, he broke the canter immediately each time. He could do the quarters in part well, so long as I didn't do the stirrup stepping first. Interesting. I also tried riding the quarter line and doing a few steps of half pass towards the center line, and then leg yield out to the track, and again on the right lead he broke the canter as we began to move out. We do canter leg yield often. It isn't usually an issue. Could leg yield out and then half pass in really well, but couldn't hold the right canter if we did the other way. So this is a strength issue, and we're doing something wrong. It's a strength issue. The hind leg of the hollow side tends to be weaker, and the hind leg on the hollow side tends to be on the stiff side tends to be stronger. So if you step into the hind leg of the hollow side and he breaks, then I mean, it could be that your stirrup stepping was too much. I don't know how much.
Sounds like you need
Well,
one.
I have
Okay.
water. Yeah. So check how much weight you use, because often milligrams are enough, especially with a thoroughbred, or even just picturing the stirrup in your mind and thinking about stepping can already be enough. But if you put 10 pounds into the stirrup, then it's like slamming on the brakes in your car and the horse brakes. But also in the canter, if you put more weight onto the hind legs, sometimes they break. The inside hind is especially vulnerable. Usually when you put more weight on the inside hind, some horses break because the inside hind isn't strong enough yet to support more weight. Sometimes the outside hind leg too, but yeah, if you're stepping into the hind leg of the hollow side, which is weaker, then not surprised. So maybe step with only a fraction of the amount, or just visualize stepping. Just think, I'm gonna step now.
Think weight without
Yeah.
aid.
Or think, I'm stepping now, but don't do anything. Just think now. And maybe that will be enough to get the job done, but he won't break, right? So I suspect there's a little bit of both. weakness in the hind leg and probably, especially if you're not very familiar with stirrup stepping. In the beginning, everybody does 10 times as much as they need to, or 100 times as much as they need to, because they can't imagine that just a few milligrams will actually make a difference. So that's something I would work with and fine tune and do way less in the stirrup stepping and see if you find how much do you actually need to make a change. You'll be surprised how little it is, especially with a sensitive horse like a thoroughbred. I mean, I've ridden horses where really I just needed to think, and if I actually physically did something, it was too much. It was overkill. The Laura Gavronski said it's like learning to drive a stick shift without stalling and running off the road all at the same time. That's a good comparison. And Kat says, Sutai on YouTube says, my horse seems to lose the correct flexion in the neck, but does cross behind. I make a volt and manage and another few correct steps, then leave it and go straight. How can I keep the bend? You probably have to engage the inside hind leg more. Usually, when they count a bend, the inside hind leg has snuck out behind. So use the volte or 2 or 3 volts to engage the inside hind.
Or you have the bend that you want.
Or you could ride a shoulder in rectangle or shoulder in square. So leave your half pass by turning 90 degrees, ride parallel to the short side and shoulder in, turn again 90 degrees, ride parallel to the long side, in shoulder in, turn again 90 degrees, shoulder in again, and then at some point you enter the half pass again. And yeah, depending on where you are, you can go all the way to the long side in shoulder in, and then follow the long side and shoulder in, turn again. Or if you're very far away, then just go 3, 4 strides, shoulder in, 90-degree turn, 3, 4, 5, 6 strides, turn again, and so on. And then you re-enter the half pass closer to the beginning. Like if you go KXM or FXH, you could do that. You can use that whole diagonal, prepare, do a few strides, exit, and ride a volte or a shoulder in square, shoulder in rectangle. Re-enter closer to the beginning of the diagonal if you do the rectangle, and then just basically half pass, leave, prepare, half pass again, leave, and so on. So that is a good way to correct it and to recreate the bend. And as soon as you lose the bend, I mean, you could try driving with the inside hind in the half pass once or twice. If you're not happy with the result, exit, shoulder in, volte, whatever, build the bend again, and then re-enter. And as soon as you lose the bend, exit again, and so on. So there's a lot of that when you train half passes. There's a lot of this stop and start, bring the inside hind leg underneath you, create a good bend, try again, try the half pass again, and so on. It's just, and then over time, the horse will be able to do more strides in the half pass without losing the bend. So it's takes a little time. Yeah, Marley says over the last few weeks I've learned the value of precisely ridden 20-meter circles, that most basic of basic exercises. And now when riding haunches, any other lateral movement on a 20-meter circle, do you have any hints on how to check that the movement is executed precisely and thus gymnastically more valuable, other than checking the quality of the trot once returning to single track? You could put the markers out, cone gates, to mark the circle points, and then you ride from marker to marker. Haunches in, the outside front is on the line, the inside hind, or the haunches are moved to the inside. The markers will, give you the visual reference that you're really still on the circle line and not drifted, out.
Yeah.
You can always count strides. Every quarter of the circle should have the same number of strides. You count the inside hind touching down. That's another way. If you don't have markers, you can count, and it should be the same number of strides. And those are the two most, I don't know, convenient or most reliable ways to check whether you're actually on the circle line or not. Holly says cone gates are up always these days. We'll kill cones. We kill cones frequently. Yeah, that's great.
With variable frequency.
Yeah,
Love that. It's funny.
Yeah. When you kill a cone, check which leg it was, because that's the corner of the horse's body that you need to supervise more.
Mm.
You know, it's typically the front leg on the stiffer side or the hind leg on the hollow side that leave the line and drift. So you know that knee and rein on on that shoulder side need to be a little bit more vigilant, or your lower leg on the side where the hind leg drifts. And then because it's usually a pattern, it's always the same. It's always the same front leg, or it's always the same hind leg. Or if the horse knocked down the cone with the right front leg 3 times and now you fix it, then next time you'll knock it over with the left hind leg, because it's like, okay, fine. If I can't push through the right shoulder, then I swing the croup to the left. You know, so
this happens of us. So fast. Yeah, it does happen fast. Yep.
With practice, you can see it and feel it. But yeah, that gives you valuable feedback. Which leg was it? And then next time you guard that leg more. Or you can then make a game out of it. Like if your outside front leg knocked the cone down, then maybe you go through the next cone gate and do a turn on the haunches around that. So you're moving the shoulder to the inside, right? Or like if the outside hind leg knocks the gate down, the cone down, you could do a turn on the forehand around the next gate. Just so you draw the horse's attention to the leg that escaped and tell the horse, move that over, move that to the side. So then the whole exercise develops a life of its own, and then each mistake becomes an inspiration for another exercise that corrects the mistake, right? Without the horse realizing you're correcting a mistake. It's just you draw the horse's attention to the body part that pushed through your aids or that left the line, and then you mobilize that part of the horse. And then you'll see after a few repetitions, the horse won't step on any more cones, the horse will stay between them.
This question, we have to go back.
Paula Seema says, I'd love to have a deeper understanding of the feel of sitting into the hind leg in prep for turns or lateral work. I've been experimenting with it, but I'm not sure if there's a difference between this and stepping into the stirrup. My horse recognizes it as a preparation for the turn. Yeah, before turns, it's usually helpful to connect to the outside hind leg, and you can do this by stepping into the outside stirrup. When the outside hind is on the ground, you can give a little squeeze on the outside rein, or stirrup plus rein. You could also just let your body sink down when the outside hind leg touches down, just your whole body. Use mass inertia, essentially. Use gravity, just sink into that hind leg 2 strides. Or let the horse feel your outside seat points. See, there's all these nuances, and you can combine it too. You could sink and use the rein. You could sink and step into the stirrup. You can step into the stirrup and use the rein, or you can do all 3: sink, step, and use a little outside rein. Yeah, the horse will probably prefer one of those possibilities, so you can try them all, and then you can decide which one you want to go with, which one gives you the best result. But that's the nice thing. So there's not just one way of half halting. There are many different options you have, and you can choose whichever one seems to work best for your horse.
In that moment.
I've been sinking. Yeah. Sinking is good, but it requires a horse with a pretty strong back. If you do this on a horse with a fragile back, they will break into 2 pieces, right? The back drops, the croup goes up, the head goes up, and you're sitting in a big hole. If you have a horse with a very delicate, fragile back, it may be better to use stirrup and rein, but stay light or neutral in your seat. But try it out. Who knows, right? I mean, like if you have a saddlebred or a thoroughbred, then you have to probably be pretty careful with how much you sink and how much weight you put directly on the back. If you have a fjord horse or a halflinger, they will be a lot less delicate, probably because they're usually broad and not long backed and so on. So you have to experiment with each horse, what works best for them.
Okay, let's go back to sharing this. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes, we are present. Okay,
Mhm.
so where are you now? So let's connect this to your horse. Think back to training 1. The homework was your self-assessment. Where are you and your horse strong? Where are you and he stuck, or she? I use he because I don't like they. Sorry. Feels weird saying a horse is a they. Anyway, what pieces do you already have and which ones are missing? And then the training 3 homework, the writing exercise, what did you feel during the exercise? What surprised you? What became clearer? And what made you go, oh, this is what it's supposed to feel like. Even if it didn't feel perfect, did it feel possible? And then how do you bridge the gap between where you are now and where you want to be? As with anything in life, not even in only in writing, but anything in life, to train well and to do it with heart, conviction, and respect for your horse, you need a clear approach that doesn't confuse your horse or you, and that builds systematically from one point to the next, like a really good story that just leads into the next thing naturally. Yeah. And sure, you could just send your horse away to a trainer to train it for you. Some people do that. But then you won't get the joy and satisfaction of training your horse yourself. And it'll really cost you. It's a lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it's more fun to figure it out yourself, and do it yourself.
I mean, that's why we got into horse training, because we really were fascinated with horse training. Yeah. So what do you actually need next? You need a solid plan with a clear, valid strategy. You need to know the what, the why, and the how. You need a step-by-step approach that builds the half pass from the ground up, no guessing. You need actionable tools to get there. You need a progression of gymnastic exercises that don't just drill movements, but develop the horse's body and mind. And you need to remove the obstacles that occur along the way within your mind and your body. That's mindset support to help keep you grounded, motivated, and out of the try harder trap or loop as it happens. And Feldenkrais lessons to help you stay centered, aware, and able to coordinate all the parts of your body cohesively. And you need someone who can give you clear, straight info and feedback exactly when you need it. Expert feedback, so you're not doing this alone. You're being coached by people who've walked this path. And you could keep just trying to figure it out alone, but will that bring the satisfaction of truly feeling the half pass come alive beneath you? Or potentially it can bring just another loop of why, why, oh, why me? Why isn't this working? We would like to help you build the half pass that you and your horse deserve, not from pressure, but from preparation. So I'd like to introduce you to our brand new course, which should be no surprise at this point because we've talked about it. It's the Training the Half Pass course. This is a brand new course. Never taught this course before. We've just now been working on putting the materials together. It's been a course we've talked about doing for years. This is a complete step-by-step system for building the half pass with gymnastic development, using your seat, aids, and learning how to feel within it, biomechanical clarity, and complete emotional and physical rider support. Very important. This is not a crash course in moving sideways. Moving sideways is almost the least important thing in the half pass. It's the obvious thing that everyone sees, and it is one of the least important things. There are so many more important things. This is a developmental journey that builds strength and suppleness in your horse. It deepens your seat, timing, and feel, makes them more cohesive together when you can ride the half pass. It changes how you can ride everything. It supports your mindset as a rider and guides you through the why just as much as the how. Because the half pass isn't just a movement, it's the visible result of what you've been building all along and what you are building now. So in this course, what's included, you get full course access, that's lifetime access to the course, bi-weekly Q&As, bi-weekly hot seat video coaching, that's where we give feedback like we did with the videos here today, weekly mindset sessions, and these are live mindset sessions too, that's what I didn't mention there. Feldenkrais for riders lessons, many of which will be brand new, never before released lessons, writing exercises and study guides, and lifelong access to the private Facebook community. This course starts on June 30th, and our pricing is $497 this year. We do have other currencies available, that's €497, and we do have payment plans available. But this is why you shouldn't wait. We have early bird pricing for the first 48 hours only. So €70 savings, early bird pricing of $427. This expires midnight Pacific Standard Time on June 15th. So that's actually a little bit more than 48 hours from right now. But even if you miss that window, this course is an unprecedented package of support for the half pass. Whereas you can enroll in this course later as a self-study course if you want to. You won't get in that the Q&A sessions. You won't get the hot seat coaching sessions. And you won't get the Facebook group. Thomas is like, And this is technically a beta course. We have produced all of the content now for it, but as we go through it, we can change things to suit the riders and the horses in the course. So as we go through it, teaching it, we can find things that maybe we realize we need to add because you and your horse have an issue that needs to be addressed. We will produce that and add it into the course, and that will become permanent material in the course. So in other words, this course is being custom built as we go, and we will incorporate your questions and needs into this. And it's sort of like having a course custom built just for you and your horse. And there's always so much excitement and enthusiasm in a beta course. In the first run of the course, there's nothing like it. It is so many people, they sign up for every beta course because they want to be part of that enthusiasm and excitement. And do you want to miss out on that? And also you get lifetime access no matter where you are on the journey to the half pass. You will have this course and the Facebook group to return to as you need it, all along the journey, however long you decide you need to take. So even if your horse is just starting and won't be really that far along through this course, it doesn't matter. You have lifetime access to all the course materials and lifetime access to the Facebook group where you can, even after the course is over, continue to get your questions answered, get feedback on your videos, and get help from us and the whole team. And that's our team of assistant instructors. So this is it. To do the half pass, you don't need to ride harder, you need to ride smarter. You need a path that makes sense and support that helps you walk it, that helps you walk through that path. This is your moment. Let's build the half pass together with purpose and direction, not pressure, not force. And yes, we have a 30-day guarantee. You can jump in, try it out. If you don't like it, just let us know and we'll give you your money back. It's really important to us that our students are comfortable in their decision. And you might not be comfortable with the decision if you don't get to get in there and try it out. So we encourage you to do that. Terry should be dropping the link into the chat. It's also available on our website and our store. And your homework, because you don't escape homework. Post any notes or videos you have left in the Facebook group and continue to participate in the Facebook group. We'll be selecting a scholarship winner for the course on Monday. And then consider joining us for the course. We'd love to have you in it. So here we go. Thank you, Terry. You linked to the course. That's really good. And so if you have any more questions, go ahead and put them in the Q&A. We can go through and read all of these now. These were all the greetings.
Oh, yeah, Paula says from New Mexico. I've so enjoyed this workshop. I've been able to keep up this time. I love the sweet mindset session for yesterday. I'm doing all the exercise and walk only, a lameness problem. It's getting better, no problem. I love the walk. Yeah, the walk is a great gate to study and to figure things out and to tinker and experiment. And I like the walk too. I always take time at the walk in the beginning. I walk for a long time and until the horse feels supple and ready to trot. My horse actually will offer a trot transition when he feels ready. You know, when I'm in the middle of a walk exercise, sometimes he just trots and it's like, okay, I guess we're ready to trot. Let's trot. It's kind of funny.
He's such a character.
Yeah, he is. But yeah, I don't really want to trot and canter around on a stiff horse anymore. I just stay in the walk until I get the feeling that if I asked for the trot now, it would feel good and it would be balanced, you know, then. And if I don't have that feeling, I'm not interested. So.
So reading through the chat, Terry says, getting stuck. I've had all of the above, sometimes a combination of more than two at once. You're not alone. Not alone. Totally normal. Totally normal. You're in good company. Maria says, me too, Terry. Glad I'm not alone.
We're all in the same boat.
Yep, been there, done that. I have the very worn out t-shirt. Ricky says, haha, me too. Now we can start all over and build on all our mistakes. That's exactly it. The mistakes give you information. You learn from them too. They're actually, mistakes are not all bad. And she corrects herself. She says, oh, sorry, not mistakes, but possibilities to learn.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and Ricky does long reining. So when you long rein your horse, you could teach the half pass on long reins first before you do them on the saddle.
Yeah.
Because for the horse, it's easier. For the rider, not necessarily, but for the horse, it's easier because they don't have to carry anybody. They just have to balance themselves and they just have to deal with their own body and own body weight. That's often quite a good option to introduce a new movement on long reins or in hand. You can do it in hand too.
So Ricky had one more comment. She said, the fun thing is that all worked out fine on a trail ride. More playful, that arena is something different somehow. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Arena's serious.
You can do a lot of this out on the trail. We've had many students that you know, because you're in our courses, Ricky, but they have no arena to work in. They do it all out on the trail and it works. You have to improvise sometimes. You can't do everything, but you can do quite a bit. Oh yeah, I had read that one about Henry Ford. And Marie said, I found I tried too hard when there was an audience around the arena commenting on the
No, it's a hard thing, a hard situation. You know, when you have an audience, you have to kind of block them out and ride in a bubble and stuff. I don't enjoy that. I don't enjoy riding in public barns. I just have horses at home. And then, you know, nobody cares.
Yeah. Except the cats.
The cats, yeah.
The cats are always hanging around. And Joe Mitchell said, yes, this hits home. I've started, so I need to finish. No stop and go back a few steps. I need to keep reminding myself this.
Yeah,
yes.
Exactly. That's the interruption of the half pass, yeah.
Yeah. Anke says, new try, I'm always out of concentration having audience, I need to focus.
Yeah, it's hard, it's a distraction.
Yeah, it's very distracting. Kat says, it seems to me, as so often, to be a question of balance, not to reach the other side under all circumstances, but also not to allow the horse to simply sneak out of the exercise. Exactly.
Yeah, that's why you determine the exit point and say, okay, we'll leave the half pass for now, we'll restore whatever we lost, and then we re-enter and we try again.
And you exit it your way, not the horse's way. The horse will kind of drizzle out.
Exactly.
That's important too. Terry says, my favorite game now, what happens if I ...
It's great, yeah.
Yeah. And she says, Lyra's turning and glaring with her mirror stare is just like that response. Thomas, that was in reference to something earlier, but that's funny. Anke says, Terry, mine too, makes things so easy.
Exactly, it takes the stress and the pressure off.
Yeah. Joe says, that's a great point. Where is the yes in that? Yeah, it's a nice way to reframe it. And Marianne says, that's what I've been doing with every new module and exercise in the What, Why, How To course. And almost every time my horse answered right, so much fun for both of us. Love having fun with it. And yeah, Susan, the video was jerky. We're sorry about that.
First one, yeah.
Yeah, the first one, yeah.
See.
Yeah, we forgot. Okay, so Carolyn says, thank you very much. I'm taking it all in, so helpful. Yeah, lots of kudos on your ride, Maria, and Ingela says, thank you, very helpful. And Terry said that was very nicely corrected. And Maria says, yeah, great skill to be able to correct as it's happening. Yeah. Yeah, you two will be able to do that.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
It's just a matter of mileage.
Yes. Completely. Ricky said, wow, that was great. Marianne says, one of our many longtime goals to be able to ride at half pass and canter. Well done. Yeah, you will. You will be able to do that. Ashley Avenant says, makes so much sense. He's super sensitive.
Yeah. Stepping.
Yeah. Tina says, I bought your course of stirrup stepping and I really appreciate it a lot. Oh, good. I'm glad it's.
Yeah, that was a big game changer for us too.
Yeah.
That was like black magic. You know, when first I didn't believe in it, I thought that's bullshit, that can't work. And then when I did it in a lesson with Calvin Cook, I was like, it works after all. Who would have thought? And then I was totally hooked and I wanted to know everything about it and I studied it and experimented.
You became obsessed with it for a while.
I know.
Yeah. Like everything, that's how he does everything.
That's how it goes.
Yeah. Full focus on on whatever he's interested in. That's how we are here today. And about the cones, Terry said, I swear Lyra aims for them.
Initially, some horses do, and I've noticed that first time I ride, you know, with cones, some horses think the goal is to step on everyone. And then eventually they figure out, no, the goal is to go between them and not step on them. And then it actually, the cones make it easier because the horse knows I have to be between the cones and you don't have to steer so much anymore. It's kind of funny.
So, yeah, Kaniva says it feels possible.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It is. It totally is doable.
And Terry said, plus, if you send the horse away, when you get it back, will you be able to even ride it? Yes, and will you get the horse you want back? Because training isn't always. Some people here, I know, have a great trainer to work with. Not everyone does. So there's that too. Maria says, absolutely agree. Training the horse gives you invaluable satisfaction. I agree. Yeah. Maria says, that course sounds amazing. Yeah. We're gonna make it amazing. Kat says, do you think a certain level is important so the course makes sense?
Well, you know, you should be able to do the prerequisites that we mentioned in the challenge.
Well, there's prerequisites for the half pass.
Yeah.
But
we should be able to do voltas and figure eights and serpentines for sure. You should be able to do a little bit of shoulder in. It doesn't have to be perfect, right? It doesn't have to be competition ready, but the horse should be familiar with it, even if it's not perfect.
The horse should be too green.
Yeah.
So you don't want to take a horse that's 1 year or half a year under saddle and take them through this course. Now, if you want, you can get the course and follow along with us and play with some of the elements with your horse. That's okay, but don't expect to be doing the half pass at the end of this course. That would be unfair and probably not the right prioritization in your training with your horse.
Yeah.
So just to be very clear on that. Terry said walk is my favorite gait. Lyra likes it best too. And Maria says can't wait for this course to start. Yay! I know. Jeez. Yeah. So Anka says I have lots of questions, but for now, thanks a lot for this great clinic and your engagement.
You can post them in the group.
Yep.
And we'll answer them.
Keep bringing in the questions. We'll answer. Deanna Sinclair Parker says I've always wanted to train my own horses. Me too. It was even when I was a kid riding, I was fascinated. I just watched people train. I was fascinated. How can you communicate? How can you do this? How can you? I just wanted to know. Yeah. Maria says Ricky does amazing long ride work. She does.
A good job.
She does a really good job. She makes it look real easy. Ingela says, thank you for a super week, as always, very inspirational. Thank you, Shanna and Thomas, for sharing your philosophy and expertise. Just love to listen to your words of wisdom. Have to leave and wish you all lots of joy with your horses. Okay. Thank you for joining us, Ingela. Marley said, thanks, guys. The dogs are getting up to nonsense, judging by the loud thumps from next door. So I'll head out. Lots of homework to ride for the weekend. Thanks again. See you in the Facebook group. Marianne said, and a big thank you for everybody who sent in their films. Great results in such a short time.
Yeah,
I agree. Yeah. Ingela says, need to leave. Thank you for tonight. Enjoy the weekend. I guess everybody's saying goodbye. We have a couple questions here in the Q&A. Let's go to those.
Yeah, Diana says, does having a Kentucky mountain that has a rocking horse canter affect the half pass? Oh, that's a good question. Rocking horse. I mean, are you talking about canter half pass? If the horse has this rocking horse canter that just goes up and down and doesn't have any ground cover, then you have to create a little bit more push. And typically with these horses, you may have to step into one of the front legs a couple of times and lengthen the stride, send the horse forward. And then once you feel like the horse is going forward, then you can start going sideways again. Otherwise, I mean, if the horse is just not, leaving the spot, if he's just going up and down, then the half pass probably won't be good, because the half pass trains the carrying ability, the flexor muscles, and there has to be enough push there from the extensor muscles that the horse can sustain that half pass. So it could be that before half pass makes sense, you have to, ride forward more, maybe even lengthen the stride a few times and then try a half pass, but only 3-4 strides and go forward again.
She said he has
losing ground cover. Okay.
amazing ground cover with his rocking horse canter.
Well, then give it a try. And
yeah, I mean, if you want us to take a look at his gaits to see if he's suitable, go ahead and post it in the Facebook group, or if you don't want to, you can send it to our email, send a video link to our email, and we'll take a look to see if he's suitable. If this is, if that's a question of suitability, we can take a look. Yeah. And she said, I will eventually. Okay. So, and then Jane Coombe says, thank you for all your advice, or just need to let it soak in. Yes.
Yeah, I know it takes a while to process, and then you have to try and do it and then think about it some more, so it takes time.
Yeah, Deanna says the horse's canter is
beautiful. Well, if he has a beautiful canter, then you should be able to do half passes, right?
Yeah.
If it's bouncy, if it's round, if you have good push, but also the ability to carry, then, he has all the ingredients that he needs.
Yeah. Let's see here. Lots of thank yous, and people need to leave. Denny says, inspired to go out and keep trying. Thank you so much. Agneta says, thank you for great inspiration. Paula says, thank you. Bye for now. Maria says you're so full of knowledge. I'm way behind with my notes. You can watch it again, take notes.
Yeah.
Isabel says, thank you for your kindness and time, as time is the most worthy. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time too and your attention. Terry said this is an awesome workshop. The course will be so exciting. I agree. I'm excited.
What's it? It should be fun.
Yes. Classes are so much fun.
It's very smooth, the canter, says Deanna. Oh, good. Smooth is good. I like smooth. Well, it sounds good. I mean, it sounds like your horse has the perfect canter, so you should be able to teach him half passes.
Should be able to work with it, yeah. So, Bev says, I know, I can't wait, and I joined the half pass course. I'll put up videos and
That's
yeah,
awesome.
we have a couple already.
Okay,
yeah.
nice. I didn't see.
Yeah. And Marcia says, thank you, Joe. Thank you all. So we'll call that done. We'll see you Monday. We're with one more live. It's our bonus training on mindset stuff, and we'll announce our scholarship winner at that time. So see you all then. Don't forget the early bird period ends in 48 hours. So we'll see you in the course.
You can keep posting questions and videos in the group.
Yes.
And then I'll look at them, answer them, and so on.
Yeah, thank you for posting the link, Terry. Maria says, agree, the workshop has been inspiring, a great taster for the course. Yes, that's the idea. We want you to get a feel for what our courses are like.
Yeah.
So there you go.